And now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Julissa Arce. Julissa is a writer and author of My Underground, American Dream. She's a leading voice in the fight for immigrant rights and education equality. She is the chairman and co-founder of the Ascend Educational Fund, a college scholarship and mentorship program for immigrant students in New York City, regardless of their ethnicity, national origin, or immigration status. She made national and international headlines when she revealed that she had achieved the American dream of wealth and status at Goldman Sachs while undocumented. Julissa now uses her success and platform to help shift the conversation around immigration and other social justice issues. She's appeared on CNN, MSNBC, NPR, Al Jazeera, America, Telemundo, Bloomberg TV, and Univision. Her writing has been published on Huffington Post, Fusion, CNN, and Espanol, The Hill, and Univision. She serves on the board of directors of the National Immigration Law Center and College Spring. She became an American citizen in August 2014 and voted in her first presidential election this year. Moderating the conversation today is veteran author and cultural critic Jeff Yang. His work has appeared regularly on CNN Opinion, NPR, and Quartz, the business publication of Atlantic Monthly. He was the founder of the pioneering Asian American periodical A Magazine, Inside's Asian America, and has authored and edited a number of best-selling books, including I Am Jackie Chan, My Life in Action, Once Upon a Time in China, and the graphic novel anthology Secret Identities and Shattered. His older son, Hudson Yang, is the star of the groundbreaking ABC television series Fresh Off the Boat. Please welcome Julissa Arce and Jeff Yang.
Thank you so much to the National Archives Foundation, to JANM, and to Representative Chu for introducing this and for helping make this happen, and to AT&T, of course, as well. This is all about, ultimately, communication and connection, and we are proud to have corporations see the value of this as important as much as we as citizens and government as the servant of citizens to do so. I'm incredibly honored to be sitting here on this platform with Julissa. I have had the great good fortune to read of her story and to explore it in great detail. It's one that's inspiring, empowering, and in some ways heartbreaking, and one that reflects very deeply on stories that are in my own family, that are in my own community, and that certainly walk the halls of this very body that we are in right now. I wanted to begin really by asking Julissa to tell that story because she does it so well, and it's so exciting to hear it first person. So, Julissa, where does it all begin? What was your arrival here like, and how did that experience shape really the journey that you've taken to get here today?
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to meet you. We were excited to meet you and thought Hudson would come, but that's okay. We'll settle for you. No, this is really exciting, and I'm really glad to see so many people here on a Saturday morning. My story really begins in Mexico. I was born in Mexico, and I lived there until I was 11 years old, at which point my parents brought me to live in Texas, in San Antonio, because they had been living in the U.S. since I was 3 years old, and they would go back and forth between Mexico and the U.S. They imported sterling silver from Mexico, and that was their business. And when I was 11, they brought me to live here with them. And I was not excited about coming to live in America. And there were several reasons why. One of the biggest reasons I wasn't thrilled to come here at the beginning is because I never really saw myself reflected in America. And when I was in Mexico, I used to watch a couple of TV shows, Dennis the Menace and Beverly Hills 90210. And everyone in the show was beautiful and rich and white. So I was really afraid that by coming to live in America, that I wouldn't fit in, because I had never seen someone that looked like me be called an American on television. And just as I was beginning to feel American, because I moved to Texas and there's a large Hispanic population there, and I started to think, well, maybe I can be part of the makeup of the fabric of this country. Just around that time, my visa expired. And not only did I realize I'm not American, I'm actually this thing that people call an illegal alien. And I was learning how to speak English, so to me, this word alien literally was like a green thing that lived in Mars, right? And so all of a sudden, to go from just being like a normal 14-year-old girl who was worried about the things that 14-year-old teenagers are worried about, to now having to deal with this identity of being an illegal alien and all the negative connotations that are associated with that. Right? And so that's really where the story begins, and where my almost this journey of cat and mouse began, of wanting to succeed, of wanting to achieve, of wanting to make something out of the sacrifice that my parents made and that I had made, and at the same time having to deal with the fact that I always had to be in the shadows, that I always had to be hiding. And so it was this constant push and pull of I want to go really far, but there are all these barriers to me getting to where I want to get to.
So that notion of always having to be in the shadows, always needing to ensure the safety of a secret, how did that change your life as a teenager? What kind of things were you able to do and not able to do simply because if anybody discovered your circumstances, you would not be allowed to stay in this country?
It was really difficult to internalize all of that as a 14-year-old girl, right? I didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong by simply breathing in this country.
That's American air.
Exactly. I mean, in LA, it's a different kind of air, but I just, when I looked at myself and when I looked at my family, I couldn't connect the dots between my daily reality and the reality that everyone else thought about me and my circumstances. And so having to navigate that was really challenging. And I think there's a lot of just like everyday things, like when my friends were turning 16 and they were going to go get their permits to drive, and I couldn't do that because I couldn't get a driver's license, and having to lie. That was sort of like the biggest thing. I felt like at some point my life was all about telling this tiny little lies to get me by and to get me through. And when kids are starting to apply for college, and even though I was a really standout student and was at the top of my graduating high school class, I graduated in the top 5% of my high school class, and yet I had no college plans. And so to have to explain that to my classmates and to my teachers and tell them my teachers couldn't understand why I wasn't going to college. And I didn't really know how to explain it. So you become really closed off because you never want someone to get so close to you and start asking these questions that you really don't have a good answer for.